everyone, and welcome to week 4 of our class, and more specifically talking about the beginning of our individual treatment project. Now, make sure that you go back to the beginning of the course and look at my video explaining each of the components of the individual treatment project. Now, by now, you should have communicated with me what your behavior is that you want to change. Now, keep in mind that this behavior must be measurable. It must be measurable, right? Something that happens with frequency, duration, intensity, something that you can measure. So, for example, saying, I want to be a better person isn't really what we can measure. But if you want to say, I want to call my mom every day, or I want to give people compliments 15 times a day, that's something we can measure. That's a behavior that we can measure. So in this week, we are starting our individual treatment project, okay? So the first week, we have a baseline. The second week, we have a baseline. Now, let me explain what a baseline means for you. So a baseline is just simply having a recording of the target behavior before we implement treatment. So it's very important you understand the first 2 weeks of our individual treatment plan, you will not be reinforcing or punishing. All you're doing is recording. So let's say I wanted to record exercise, and my definition of exercise is to get my heart rate above 120. Okay, 120 beats per minute, I should say. My heart rate above 120 beats per minute for 10 minutes or more. And I'm going to count the minutes, right? So 10 minutes is my minimum. I'm going to count the minutes. So I'm looking for the total number of minutes per day. And for the week number 1, which is the week that we're in, my first week of baseline, all I'm doing is looking to record how many times I get my heart rate up above 120 for at least 10 minutes consistently. And I'm counting that number, right? So 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. And I'm doing that throughout the week. Now, keep in mind that I may do it 0 times. I may have 0 episodes of the target behavior occurring, right? It just doesn't happen. So I want you to be recording the occurrence of the target behavior without the implementation of treatment. Now, why do we do this in ABA? Why would you ask your client to do this or reflect back on it the most recent couple of weeks with the target behavior? The reason why we do this is comparison, so that when we implement the treatment and record the data, now we have something to compare it to, right? Now we know baseline what we were doing before treatment occurred. So if we want to reinforce a behavior, we want to see if a behavior is going up, if it's increasing compared to what? Increasing compared to baseline. If we want a behavior to go down through punishment, using punishment principles or like extinction principles, which is in this week, then we would say it's going down or reducing because of what? What are we comparing it to? We're comparing it to our baseline. So baseline measurements are very, very important for any legitimate study, right? So any legitimate treatment, we would need to be able to compare our results of treatment to the baseline. So it's really important that we be doing this. Now, within this week, I'm going to ask you to start doing 2 things to be submitted every Sunday evening from here on out, right? So our weeks of baseline, our weeks of treatment, our weeks of follow-up. And those 2 things that you are going to be submitting every Sunday are your behavioral episode sheet and your weekly journal. Now, when you open up your behavioral episode sheet, you will see the 3-term contingency. You'll see before the behavior and after. Remember, you are recording the occurrence of the target behavior every single day. So I want you to pick 3 times that this behavior occurred, and I want you to dive deep. I want you to tell me what's going on before the behavior occurred. What's going on in the environment, socially, what's going on biologically. Am I sleepy or am I well rested? Am I hungry? Am I hot? Am I cold? What my thoughts are, maybe even what your feelings are. What is prompting the behavior in that environment? Then I want you to make sure you record the behavior, do a good job of recording the operational definition of the behavior. Then tell me the after. Record what happened after the behavior. Okay, thoughts, feelings, follow-up behaviors. I did this behavior, which made me do this one. Does this make you want to do the behavior again? What happened to others? What happened to the environment? And so on. Now, when you look at the behavioral episode sheet, you'll see I need 3 things specified for the before, the behavior, and then 2 things specified for the after. I really want you to focus on diving deep and investigating the occurrence of the target behavior. Now, during the baseline, keep in mind, you may not have the occurrence of the target behavior at all. If that's true, okay, if you can't find 3 occurrences of the target behavior in the baseline weeks, no problem. Give me an example of a competing behavior. So instead of exercising, I did this. Instead of eating healthy, I did this. Instead of studying, I did this. Again, to really practice this skill of analyzing the before and after of a particular behavior. And you'll submit your behavior episode sheet every single Sunday evening. Now, the second thing you're going to submit every single week from here on out of our individual treatment project is your weekly reflection. This I want you to do on Sunday nights. Now, you can do it anytime you want, but I would prefer Sunday nights. And all you're doing is reflecting on your week. What were your successes? What were your failures? Okay? So you can have, for example, 3 successes, 3 failures, 3 successes or 3 failures, or a combination of the 2. And then after that success or after that failure, talk to me about any changes that you need to make. I want you to practice the idea of having yourself and in the future your client reflect on, is it working? Now, again, because you're doing baseline this week, you won't really have any changes needed because you're not implementing anything yet, right? So the changes may be, or I should say that you're not going to have any changes related to the behavior because you're not implementing yet, but changes that I've seen for students during the baseline is a better definition, right? I need to define my behavior. I need to hone what I mean by studying. I need to better understand what I mean by exercise. If I'm going to be recording it, my measurement needs to be more precise. So that's what I've seen as an example there. So again, work with these, put it together, submit it, and I'll give you feedback every single week on this. So I know that you guys are going to really enjoy this individual treatment project. I think this is a pinnacle of what I put together for you for this course because you're applying what you're learning in class to yourself, making you better understand the concepts, understand the theories, how treatment works, even how to run a treatment like you're doing for yourself. Also, to better understand empathy and how to connect with your future clients. Because when you ask somebody in the future, hey, I need you to change. Hey, I need you to record. Hey, I need you to do this, that, or the other. You've done it. You know what they're going to be coming across in many ways. So this will really open your eyes to what we do in ABA. So as always, if you have any questions or any needs, you let me know, send me an email. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your first week of treatment, this baseline week, and you beginning to record daily your behavioral episode sheet and your weekly journal reflection.